Wait, hold on 1 second. I just want to make sure she's ready. Our cinematographer is ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Thank
okay.
you.
Good. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So hi everyone. We are Group B. Those are my group members. Today we are going to compare two companies. The first is our company BMS, and the second is a peer company called Eli Lilly. So why we pick those two companies to compare? The first reason is that they have similar market capitals. And the second is that they are both listed in Fortune 500 and they have similar rankings. So also they have overlap in some area of their medicines. And they are both multinational companies and pharmaceutical companies in America. So we pick those two companies. Let's look at some financial data of those two companies. We can see from the presentation that those two companies, Eli Lilly have higher stock price in general and also have higher PE ratio, but BMS has higher earning per share. So we can see that although Eli Lilly has higher revenue, but BMS increases faster in its revenue. So my group member will introduce more about this company.
Hi, I'm going to talk about the Eli Lilly. And from the financial data, here, we can see that Eli Lilly has a stable revenue growth. And one of the Goldman Sachs analysts said that they have entered into a period of accelerating growth, revenue growth, and also the earning per share growth, and by involving the diversified pipeline of drugs. In the aspect of the research and development, they have a long history of collaboration with the research scientists. And on October 20th, 2016, they also developed a new drug called the Lartruvo. This drug is also the first one that passed the FDA's approval for the treatment of the soft tissue sarcoma. And in addition, Eli Lilly also have a higher PE ratio than our company and also the industry, which indicate that they also prepare for the future market growth.
Let's look back to our company. And as you can see from the revenue part, we have a gross revenue, like growth rate is higher than the Eli Lilly. And in the pharmaceutical industry, it's not like in the food industry, because when you're hungry, you eat more food. But in the pharmaceutical company, for example, you're getting sick, but you cannot eat a lot of medicine. So which means that we got a lot of new customers in our use our product. So that's a really key factors for us to growth in the future. And the second one is we want to say that we have an active strategy. And from this, you can see in the PowerPoint before that we have a net com decrease in 2015. And that is mainly because in the second quarter we have acquisition of the company of Flexus, and so not only just looking inside our company, we just reach out our sites to see what other companies do and help them or invest them. And the second one is we have a business transfer from our part of product to exactly the Eli Lilly, which is the Erbitux in the Q4 season. We actually did really well before, but actually when we did this, we think that their strategies deviate from our current strategy of this company. So we did this transfer of business.
So now I will give the conclusion of our comparison. So firstly, from our introduction, we can see that there are competition in the industry which are pretty extreme, and both companies has their competence and their strong points. However, that competition does not necessarily undermine each or any of the company or the market potential, because they can be good at different things. Our company goes actively and acquisition other companies, going to investing with more risk and expanding with the expansion strategy. The other company may has a stable growth, and because they are earlier and with a larger scale, they can keep their market share and have a stable growth. Thus, those strategies we cannot say which is better or which is worse. The only thing we can say is that with our expansion strategy for the company we have, with our futures with more imagination than the other companies or the competitors in the industry. Also, with our current diversified drugs and the business lines due to all those business actions, our company has an advantage in the both growth rate and diversity, which is pretty important for this industry because in each of those drugs, there will be only one leader for the product, and as for more market you enter, you will have a higher chance to get control a higher market share. And that is our presentation. And here's our contacts. If there's necessary to contact us, feel free to ask questions. And let's go step into the Q&A phase.
Okay, who's got questions? Or any observations, questions? Please, please, please. Come on, come on. Just think that they're gonna go next week and this is gonna be so, help them. You're gonna be helping them by asking questions or making observations. Don't be shy, come on.
I think that we can learn something from the things they like two sides of the screen, so it will be easier to come to the front stage and show the audience. So I will learn something from there.
I like that actually. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Is there anything in the content of the PowerPoint that was unclear for you, or that you felt like they could, pump it up or whatever? So anything?
I just feel like the whole premise here for what we are presenting is we are presenting to the CEO of the company, and when you speak to the CEO of the company, like comparing pharma to a food sector, it's really not called for. And they know because they are the CEO of the pharmaceutical company. They know how their industry works. And our role here is being a financial analyst. So we are going to be speaking from more of hard numbers rather than making subjective statements. So that's my only comment here.
I want to say something that every word we see are from the financial data. It's not like wholly like stuff.
No, I understand that, but when you said that when you compare, like people cannot be consuming medicine like food, like, I don't know, maybe I feel like in a professional environment it will not be really, like it was on a lighter note, if that's
Well,
what
actually,
you intended to, maybe
Well,
that's not.
something that I liked about what you did, what I did like actually, because for a moment, he was telling a little bit of a story, even if it wasn't quite, about the food or whatever. But I liked that, and I was going to ask people to start thinking about that
okay.
for the next presentation, to not make it so dry. So, a little bit more interjecting something around it so that it makes it, yeah. So while your point is good, as far as it's not food, I think I liked what he did, because all of a sudden it was like, oh, he gave me an example, and I can, so that was a good thing.
I have something to talk about another direction.
Can you speak a little louder and a little slower?
Okay, so the thing we just say we are supposed to present more data or analyze it regarding to the data. But as analysts, I think we also need to mention what we think and what we suggest the company to do as an analyst, and making suggestions and making points by ourselves. This is also important. I don't think we are supposed to mainly only comparing the data, because everyone could be able to do that. Even the CEOs can Google it maybe for 5 seconds, they can get it. So that's what
you're hired for.
Yes, actually, well, I'll say my point at the end, but, what else? Any ladies in the front, come on, say something, come on, you can contribute, please.
Thanks for good.
You thought it was good? Yeah. But do you have any questions or anything that you could, that might clarify something for next week for them? Remember, you're all gonna be doing this, so whatever help you can give them would be a good thing. Okay. Well, actually, what I say at the very final slide, when you say, can we go to the final slide? Yeah, there, okay. So, I'm not sure you laid out the case for that as much as you could have, And when you say you can't make, you know, like, really, if you're gonna make a general statements like that, you should say that, it should be obvious in the presentation. Because, you know, saying expansion strategies, future and imagination, I don't know what that means, you know, I mean, I know what future and imagination, but how does it relate to your presentation? So, and maybe you can explain that to me. What did you mean by that?
So from the previous data or the chart, which I also mentioned, there's a weight scale. The profit is just switching a lot, going down because of the acquisitions, and going up because acquisition were proved to be good. The company is actively expanding their business, and that is directly resulting the higher growth rate comparing to its competitors. That's why, because of the successful past experience, the company's future will be expected to be working much better with the expansion strategy as we mentioned, because that has a successful history, and that is like putting a higher level into our current business, showing the management has more confidence in their business and their decision makings.
Okay, so at the very end, then you could say, so again, you know, the company's expansion strategies have proved to be successful because, you know, and just a short thing, and then, so each of these, so that you make sure you're going back to the meat of the presentation in the beginning. You always, you know, like expository writing, you set out a premise, you do the three or four, whatever points you're making, and then at the end, you kind of go back to the premise again. So, and that's a good thing to keep in mind. So let's go to the first slide, okay? Yeah, okay. So, so what you might, you know, something to think about is how you end the presentation and how the beginning of the presentation starts. You want to connect those two, okay? Connect them a little bit better than you, and that would be go for everybody, okay? And even if you didn't do it this time, try to think about that, definitely for the next time. That'll really make your presentation a lot more cohesive. I would say overall you did a good job. I think, you know, you speak a little too quickly and maybe a little too softly. You know, and I think you did, you know, you obviously did your research and all that. Just try to make it, try to figure out how you can engage the audience just a little bit more. And, you know, stand both, two on this side, two on this side, maybe one whoever is speaking, that kind of thing, spread it out. So, anybody else have anything to say? Guys are so shy, either you're shy or whatever, I don't know what, but okay. All right, okay. Okay, so let's, thank you.